Well, welcome to the second of 7 videos looking at specific project management lifecycle models. And during this particular video, we're going to look at the incremental model and 2 different approaches for using the incremental model. So when you look at the incremental model, what you're going to do is go through a series of increments that deploy the solution with no feedback. But deploy the solution in different chunks or increments. So the intent here is you scope the project once, you plan the project once, then you launch a series of increments that you monitor and control. You have to close out each of those increments, and then when you get to the end, closing out the last increment, you actually close out the entire project. All right, so it's going to be very similar to a linear project management lifecycle model, but it allows you to release deliverables against a much more aggressive schedule and hopefully beat others to market. That's principally when you see this model used. So strengths here, you're getting business value earlier, you're seeing deliverables earlier in the project, but you're still just scoping once, planning once. There is more focus on client value, but again, there's not a lot of capability to do scope changes. You can do some minor ones, but not a lot of value. There's more learning that takes place, but again, it's still a linear project management lifecycle model. When you're looking at some of the weaknesses, your teams may not remain intact between the increments. That will cause some challenges. Also, it's a little bit more client involvement than you've seen in other approaches, but it's still pretty small in terms of what you're doing. You do have to make sure that each of those increments are deliverable. So you're going to go and look at the requirements of the features, split those down, and then from that start to look at how you can deploy each increment. And there are really 2 different ways of doing that. Talked about this earlier, this idea of a partial product to service to market faster or to the end user faster. And hopefully what your intent is to dominate market share because you were able to get to market faster than your competitors. When you're looking at this, again, you've got to manage, there's some management time because instead of just doing one pass through, you've got these multiple increments and they have an overhead associated with them. And as you're doing these incremental changes, again, you may lose part of the team. So you just have to manage the friction of handling all of these different increments. So there are 2 different approaches. One's called the staged delivery waterfall model, very, very similar to the previous waterfall model, but when you get down into that detailed design code, you're doing multiple versions of it or multiple increments or phases. And then the next is a feature-driven development model where instead of using requirements, you're using features as the component. So it's a nuanced difference in terms of how you're deploying the solution. So here's that stage delivery waterfall model. Again, you've got some problem or opportunity. You do your requirements gathering, high-level solution design, and then you have a series of stages that you're going to release a sub-solution, design, build and test, and then test. Again, your scoping and planning are all done up front. But once that's done, you just have a series of stages before you get to the final deployment. When you're looking at the feature-driven design, again, you're going to do your scoping and your planning all up front, build this kind of master feature list, do a plan based on those features, and then each of the stages, if you will, are feature sets. So you're deploying a series of feature sets that allow you to solve a specific problem. Well, guess what? That brings us to the end of the incremental project management lifecycle model. It is a traditional project lifecycle model. It is one where you scope only once, you plan only once. You then go through this launching process multiple times based on feature sets or based on requirements. There are 2 different approaches, the feature-driven design incremental approach, and then you've also got the stage delivery waterfall model. Well, keep on studying, keep on learning, and what we'll do during the next video is start to look at agile project management, and specifically, we'll start getting into the iterative project management lifecycle model.